Unequivocally, definitively, absolutely, Bob Melvin needs to go. That's what you want us to say tonight. John and Jim with you on the wrap-up show. Unequivocally, definitively, absolutely, Bob Melvin has to go based on what happened and transpired tonight in San Francisco. That's what you want us to say tonight, right? We're not going to. John and Jim with you on the wrap-up show. Please subscribe if you are here. Padres lose an absolute heartbreaker. There's plenty of blame to go around, including to Bob Melvin. Padres lose in extras to the Giants, had a 4-0 lead, had a 4-2 lead in the ninth, had a chance at the top of the 10th, lose the game. Subscribe if you're here. Smash the like button for us. Follow us on Twitter at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. We see the supers. We're going to get to all the supers. Appreciate the support of the supers. Get your supers in right now. We'll get to all of the supers tonight. Click the $sign below the chat box. You're frustrated. We're frustrated. You should be frustrated. If you want to join, by the way, click the join button down below. Get the emojis and get the badges. Jim, listen. Hader, Martinez, Wilson down. Put you in a tough spot heading in. I talked about it all night last night. I don't even know if you were here when I talked about that. I said it's tricky. You were here when we talked about that. I said tomorrow's going to be tricky. You watch. And they didn't add on to their lead. And Tim Hill was really good in the 7th and 8th inning. And then Bob Melvin had a decision to make. And we're going to get into that probably for most of this night. But they didn't have their top 3 relievers available. They lose the game 7-4, and it's a game they're going to wish they could have back.
So we did not have a show today, John and Jim, on the radio. So I went golfing, and I was driving back, and I was thinking to myself, okay, no Hader, no Martinez, and no who else? Wilson. I thought to myself, yeah, tonight feels like one of those like scheduled losses. You don't really see those many in baseball, but you see them all the time in basketball. Basketball, back to back, double headers, second game of back to back. It's like, this is a scheduled loss. That team we're playing has had 3 days of rest. We're just coming off a back to back travel. This is probably a scheduled loss. And it felt like a scheduled loss going into tonight's game. And then all the way up until the 9th inning, I didn't feel like that until Garcia walked the first batter of the night of his outing. The second that Luis Garcia threw 4 straight balls, I was like, here we go. Here's where the scheduled loss comes into play. And thinking of myself too, as the Giants are kind of, chipping away at this, right? It's 4-1.
Yeah, 4-2.
Padres still can't get hit with runners in scoring position. They went 1 for 7 tonight. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, this is going to be a problem because they needed to win tonight's game 7-2 or 6-2, or 5-1. They needed to have a blowout win, and they were on their way to do that. They were definitely on their way to doing that tonight. But then the offense went stagnant again, and they could not get another run in. So for me, how this transpired in the 9th inning, that's who Bob Melvin is. And if you are the person out there, and there's probably a lot, and I put in the chat as well, who do you blame for tonight's loss? Bob Melvin or Luis Garcia? And so vote there right now. We have, right now we have over 130 votes. Right now, 61% say Bob Melvin is tonight, who they blame for tonight. I think that you tweeted it out, when they put up, I think it was Austin Slater against Tim Hill, who had threw 2 great innings through 19 pitches. He was not going to throw a 3rd inning. He just wasn't, especially when you put up a righty against him. Just wasn't the case. And for a guy who was such a big, important piece to your team last year in Luis Garcia, he was the A team. He just, how many times in the postseason did he have amazing outing after amazing outing? It was like Garcia, Suarez, Hader, boom, boom, boom. So Bob Melvin, his thinking is, we need to get this guy back on track, and another opportunity. You're probably not going to see Luis Garcia in this type of opportunity for a long time. Rightfully so. He should not be in this opportunity for a long time because he blew it. He had an opportunity against Colorado. He blew it. He had an opportunity against the Giants. He blew it. So, 2 strikes, it's 3 strikes, you're out. But in this case, 2 strikes, you're out. You're not going to see Luis Garcia for a long time, rightfully so.
Okay, a couple things.
I blame Garcia.
What's that?
said, so I blame Garcia.
A couple of things. This kind of boils down to, we're going to get to all the supers. Thank you, guys. This boils down to a decision that the Giants make to start the ninth inning by pinch hitting Austin Slater, as you just alluded to. At that point, Bob Melvin has a decision. I think Tim Hill stays in the game if he doesn't pinch hit.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. You could argue got out managed right there. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't actually think that there was no scenario where Tim Hill goes 3, but I do think it's a very convenient way to get him out of the game because he hasn't thrown more than 2 innings in forever. Go look it up. I have no clue when it was. It's at least 2021. I looked at 2022 and 2023. He hasn't gone more than 2 innings. So go tell me the last time he threw 3 innings. It's not like this is something he does. He's never been that guy in that point. So now you could argue, well, who cares if he pinch hits Slater? You got a 2-run lead, and the batter in the on-deck circle is a lefty. But he would be the tying run, and Slater has killed the ball this year. So maybe he gets outmaneuvered right there. Now, that alone, that one move alone, is that the difference between winning and losing? It absolutely can be. But to your point, could the Padres have put themselves in a better position heading into that inning? Could they have led by more than 2? Should he have gone to Luis Garcia in the 7th inning if he's trying to get him right? Yeah, going to him in the 7th inning, not the 9th inning.
Right.
So I think the first time you put the game up in the air is right there. And I understand the criticism there. I really do. With all that being said, Garcia's got to be better than that.
That was pathetic. That was just that was he's completely lost. He is so far gone right now. I don't know how they can put him in another meaningful situation.
Well, here's the thing, though, but this isn't extenuating. This is why I said last night, when you're in a game without Hader, Wilson, and Martinez, by the way, not on Bob Melvin. That's what the piece of paper said going into the game. They will not throw. Yeah. Okay. Now Bob Melvin said we need another righty down there. He said that post-game. He's like, we need another reliable righty in the bullpen. Like, he literally said that.
Do you think Preller will actually know what's going on instead of scouting some 12-year-old kid in like Louisiana?
In like Camden. Well, here's the other thing, though. It's like you could be critical of Melvin going to Garcia, or you could be critical of Preller having Garcia on the roster. If Garcia's on the roster and you got 3 guys down, you're telling me you can't go to him? Garcia's on the roster, you got 3 guys down, and you can't go to him there. And by the way, hindsight's not always 20/20. Tim Hill stays in the game. We have no clue what happens. We have absolutely no clue what happens. Slater can reach, next guy can reach. And we have no clue what happens. It's very easy to say, well, 19 pitches, 6 up, 6 down. You got to just use your eyes. So, listen, Bob Melvin's going nowhere based on this. I can assure you. And by the way, Luis Garcia is going nowhere based on this. I can assure you. Everyone get up in arms about it. Luis Garcia will be on the active roster tomorrow.
They're not putting him down to El Paso. They're not DFAing him. They're not doing that. Yes, does everyone take blame for this? Absolutely. Is Melvin just like doesn't get any blame for this tonight? Of course he does.
I think he gets actually a lot of blame.
No, I do. I 100% agree. But also I'm looking at this too. They had, again, hey, they need pitching at the deadline. Their main problem was not pitching. Luis Garcia is like the rotten egg of the bunch. The bullpen has been amazing this year. Now, granted, the 3 guys that have been amazing this year were all down today. But all in all, the bullpen has been really good this season. The main thing continues to be the main thing, and they can't hit with runners in scoring position. You had an opportunity in the 10th inning, and you had opportunities way earlier in that game to extend that lead and make it so that it wasn't a save situation in the 9th inning, and you didn't do that. So again, 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position, and you have multiple opportunities in extra innings to get the lead or expand your lead early in the game, and you don't do it. And then the team is forced to put it. Then the team is in this situation because of that, because they still can't hit with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, that's a bit. Let's run through some supers, guys. If you're here, subscribe. All right. I get the frustration. So does Jim. I understand the blame on Bob Melvin. And what I started the show by saying, I believe he's not being fired. I know a lot of people are going to say fire Bob Melvin. He's not going anywhere. He's not going. This can happen again tomorrow night. He's not going anywhere. Okay. So just get that into your heads. Listen, does he leave something to be desired with the usage of his bullpen? Yes. Can he be overly trustworthy with his players? Yes. And does this happen? Yes. And by the way, does this happen to managers that actually make the right chess moves, yeah, that can happen as well. It's not like, Gabe Kapler's been invincible as a manager. He hasn't. He's received criticism as well, if you follow the Giants the last couple of years. But they're rolling, and this is a big time of the season right now for the Padres. Juan Soto walks, thank you for the super. We're going to roll through these right now. Get them in. Click the $ below the chat box. Thank you for your support of the channel. There's a lot to get to. He says after listening to Bob's presser, he needs to go. I listened to the entire thing. I disagree with a lot of things he said, but at the end of the day, Jim, he's not going anywhere. We agree, right?
He's not going anywhere unless you want to nuke this season. Like, unless you want to literally drop an atomic bomb on this season.
Right.
You're not firing Bob Melvin. I mean, it just okay, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to have Ryan Flaherty take over as the interim manager for the rest of the season. And guess who is going to be making all the decisions for Ryan Flaherty? Exactly. At least Bob Melvin has a voice of his own. Whether it's agreed upon or not with him in the front office, which I kindly, frankly believe that it's really not, then you're going to get a mouthpiece for Preller, and that will be Ryan Flaherty. So if you really want to fire Bob Melvin this year, sure, go for it. Who is another option that you're going to have besides him?
There is no scenario where he's going to be fired. 619 Cam, thank you for your membership. Thank you for the super chat. He says, even my mom knew the game was over when Garcia came in. This is on Bo Mel, and why not anyone else? When an awful start to this series, F. I'm fine with putting a majority of the blame on Bob Melvin. I absolutely am. By the way, Bob Melvin's not going to be perfect. There's 162 games. And you're going to say you're a Bob Melvin apologist, Jim, you're a Bob Melvin apologist. I haven't even looked at the chat. I'm just looking at the supers. And then go watch back the shows last year in the regular season, the postseason, and listen to the criticism we levied on Bob Melvin. Hader's not throwing 3 straight days. Martinez isn't throwing 3 straight days. And Wilson's not throwing 3 straight days. And Bob Melvin's far from a perfect in-game manager. We've said it a lot. And this may have cost you here tonight. Again, is it going to be the difference between, winning the World Series or not this year? We'll find out. I mean, is this game going to be the difference between getting into the postseason or not, or winning this division or not? It's all a possibility. But just because Bob Melvin is ultimately accountable, that's the way most Padres fans see it right now for this loss, doesn't mean Bob Melvin is going to go and Ruben Niebla is managing tomorrow. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't.
And we said this on Friday on John and Jim, and also on Sunday night. Remaining schedule for this month, tiny sample size, right? Got to keep it tiny with these guys. 17-10. That's I feel like the mark that they have to get this month. You still can go 2-2 versus the Giants here. You win 2 or 3 versus Washington over the weekend. You take 2 or 3 from Pittsburgh on Pittsburgh, and you win the first game in Cincinnati, the final day of the month. Boom, you're 17-10. It's just it's much worse tonight because tonight you had the game won.
Yeah, against a team that had won 7
hottest,
straight.
Yeah,
and if you're trying to split
really
a
good
series,
baseball,
if you're trying to split a series on the road, and I'm with you, this is one of those scheduled losses, so to speak, but not when you lead 4-0 and Juan Soto homers 2 times. You can't lose when Juan Soto homers 2 times. You just can't. Brady, thank you so much.
Again.
Thank you for the generous super. Let's roll through these. Melvin needs to go. We win the game. Clevenger pitched, and who knows if we're a World Series champion. Seeing it again this year with latest Darvish moving Garcia with game on the line tonight. He holds his best hand for the next game. Well, I don't think he's holding his best hand tonight for tomorrow. What's his best hand, Josh Hader? He's unavailable. There's a piece of paper, and he's blacked out on it.
Nick Martinez, not available. Steven Wilson, not available.
They're not using it. And he was asked point blank post game, if you watched it, at what point in the season would you consider going to one of these guys for a 3rd consecutive day? And he said, listen, they've thrown a lot. They threw a lot of pitches. It wasn't easy workloads the last couple of days. So he wasn't willing to entertain that. And that's not a decision he's making. That's not Bob Melvin's decision. If anything, it's the pitching coach's decision. It's certainly not Bob Melvin's decision. It's the front office's decision not to pitch those guys tonight.
Here's something that Talking Friars is good for. Here's the last 2 days, the pitch counts for Hader, Wilson, and Martinez.
Okay.
Hader yesterday pitched 12 pitches, and the previous day pitched 19. So that's 31.
So not a lot.
Wilson, 29 yesterday, 13.
Yeah, no chance in hell.
No chance. Nick Martinez, 24 yesterday.
No chance.
And only 7 the previous day.
Yeah, so maybe.
Still.
I'd say 30. Of course, you could pitch a 3rd straight day. They won't do it. 40, they're not going to do it. They're not doing it. If you've thrown 40 pitches the last 2 days in separate outings, you're not going to throw a 3rd day. I mean, you will in the postseason,
Right.
but you're not going to do it right now. Elliot, thank you. He says bullpen has a Suarez-sized hole. It's an excellent point. But it is what it is. Hader should be able to go 3 in a row. Tim was dealing, but leaving him in isn't without risk. Hindsight's 2020. I mean, that's my 2 cents. I still would leave him in. I think you're taking less blame if you leave Tim Hill in the game in that spot than if you go to Luis Garcia, who has struggled. So I do understand that point. I really do. Hader should be able to go 3 in a row, though, has nothing to do with Bob Melvin. I mean, I have
That's a Hader issue.
but I don't think he's going to go 3 in a row in June. I mean, I hope he might go 3 in a row in September if you need him.
Yeah, he's not going 3 in a row in June. I agree with you. Keep in Tim Hill, regardless of matchup. And if Tim Hill gives up a single or whatever to Austin Slater, I think it was, they pinch hitting, then you take him out. But
but then a lefty's on deck, and that's where you get in a little bit of a tough spot. So you're going to be lured into keeping him in the game.
Right. So you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Hindsight's the best thing in the world, and hindsight was to just not go to Garcia there. I mean, anybody else, Honeywell, anybody, right? Anybody else but Garcia there. Or you switch it around and you put Garcia, before Hill and try to get a couple outs from him, and then you have Hill to finish off the game. But all in all, it was a win that was right there that was once again taken away from you. And they've had too many of these this season, in a season now that you can't say it's early anymore, and a season now that you are 4 games back of a wild card spot, and the division feels like every single day with these type of crushing losses gets further and further away from you.
Yeah, no, I forget about the division. I don't see it. I just don't see it. There's too many teams in front of you. Forget about the distance. There's just too many teams. And to your point about the wild card, it will not be easy. They'll have to play good baseball. Not that it's far from. I mean, it's far from. There's a zillion games left, but like they're gonna have to play well, and they'll still be in a bit of a dogfight if anyone else puts together a good second half, because you're vying with like 3, 4, 5 teams even to get in. So you've played 72 games. You have 90 games left. I mean,
here's the team.
Unless you're going 60 and 30, you're going to be fighting for this thing for a while.
I mean, these teams that I'm about to name off right here, this ain't going to be easy, guys. The Dodgers, the Phillies, Milwaukee, San Francisco, and Miami. Now, Miami is a team you're like, well, but they've been playing really good baseball, and credit to them and Skip Schumacher. Giants, I just feel like they're always going to be this like annoying team, right? Dodgers, they're not going anywhere. Philadelphia, they've won 6 in a row. They've turned their ship around at the exact time they did last year when they were struggling, and then now they're hot.
Dude, you haven't even mentioned the New York Mets are 1 game behind the Padres. You think the Mets with their ownership group are going to punt on a season? No chance in hell.
No chance in hell. So if the Cardinals ever figure it out, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just you're dealing with a situation here that you put yourself in where it is going to be a fucking dogfight to get in this thing. And this ain't guaranteed by any stretch of the imagination.
No, I mean, look at it this way. I mean, if they close 50 and 40, they'll have 85 wins, and they'll likely be out. So they need to play better than 50 and 40 in their last 90 games. We just haven't seen a reason to believe that they're capable of doing that, just based on watching this team for the last 3 months. Vector, thank you. He says, honestly, got NLCS flashbacks from that rough. No, I agree with that. I mean, if this was a postseason game, I would have pulled my hair out. It's not a postseason game. You would never have your top 3 relievers down. So that's what it is. I mean, just know that going in. It's not a postseason game. They have their top 3 relievers down. And that's a big reason why they lost the game, because they were unable to turn to guys that are more dependable than Luis Garcia. Rocket, thank you. Says, in my opinion, you can't blame this loss too much on Bomel. There wasn't a single guy in that pen in the 9th that could have won that game. Just how it is. I mean, that's the thing. It's not like you're asking Tim Hill to do that.
Right.
Carlton, I mean, Kerr. These aren't the guys that are pitching in that spot. They're also just not.
I don't know. Like, call me crazy, but hey, Manny and Bogarts.
Come through in the 10th?
Maybe come through. And I mean, Camilo Duvall is one of the nastiest pitchers in the game. I'm not saying like, oh, lay off that.
It's filthy. He's throwing like 103.
Yeah, like, oh, Manny, lay off that 103-mile-an-hour sweeping slider across the plate. Like, what are you doing? You're an idiot. Like, I'm not saying that at all. I mean, Manny Machado probably. I mean, he even looked at Duvall as he's walking off the field, smiling like, holy shit.
Yeah, that's tough.
So it's not the like, you're not getting a hit off of a rando, but at this other time on the other edge and the side of this is those are your two top guys in your 3-4 hole. You got runners at second and third. Got to come through.
Yeah, but this is also a classic example where like they're throwing their freaking closer and you're throwing Ray Kerr.
Right. It's not even close.
Like there's no, I mean, second the game's tied up, you lost the game, unfortunately.
Yeah. But still, it's like, I think both are true. Duvall is nasty as fuck. But it's also you got Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts. It's not like it's Odor and Kim up there.
I agree. Let's get to our buddy Carlos. Carlos, good to have you here. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the tickets again Friday night. Great to hang out with you at Petco Park on Friday. He says, I won't hear about any other culprit besides Bo Melton. I love this.
He was texting me. I love it.
Garcia's been horrible and high leverage all year. Putting him out there was so predictable. My whole family went ape sheet before the first pitch. I mean, I understand it. And it's the 3-batter minimum. And once someone's off, they're really off, and it's a 2-run game. So I understand it. I mean, with the benefit of hindsight, he got out chest moved in the 9th inning by Gabe Kapler, who pinch hit Austin Slater, who, by the way, was burned, who didn't even appear in the game.
I know. That's what I thought. I'm like, wait, Austin Slater never hit.
Because then they went to Garcia. So they just burned right through him. And then Garcia walked the first batter he faced. So that's National League style managing. That is, the importance of in-game decision making. It doesn't always pay off. You can do that 100 times. It might work one time, and it worked tonight because the Padres bullpen was in a bad spot, and they took advantage of a trigger happy Bob Melvin, maybe in yanking Tim Hill a batter too soon.
If they, and I'm looking big picture here now, if they don't make the postseason, then everybody's to blame here, Melvin included. There's nobody that is without blame, but I also have to put, as of right now, this team and the players on the field with the most blame, because if they could just fucking get their average up to 230 with runners in scoring position, then we wouldn't be talking about, or not us talking about, but like people in the chat and on social media saying fire Bob Melvin.
I completely agree, Jim, but I'll be the first to say, despite everything, it's 4-2 in the 9th. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know.
You get that, and you're right. It could have been 9-2 in the 9th. You're right. Could have been 5-2.
I'm talking about the whole season.
I know.
The whole.
No, I agree, and I don't think Melvin is accountable for a lot of bullpen. I don't think there's been a lot of bullpen meltdowns. I mean, the staff ERA is like top 5 in baseball.
And is Bob Melvin? Is it his fault that the team can't hit with runners in scoring position?
No, I don't think so. But listen, if there's a game you're going to put on Bob Melvin this year, it's this game. And with that being said, I still think there's an asterisk because he couldn't. This is simple math if Josh Hader's available. This is simple math if Nick Martinez is available,
No fucking choice. And he made the wrong one. He
made the wrong choice of bad choices. And you can say, well, Tim Hill, that's not a bad choice. Okay, he had gone 6 up and 6 down. But I mean, that doesn't guarantee, the past doesn't predict the future.
Yeah, he had a handful of guys that were available tonight, and he chose a way to use them, and it was the wrong way to use them. So yeah, you want to put this on Bob Melvin tonight, put it on Bob Melvin, but also don't not put it on Luis Garcia.
Patman 0074, thank you. He says, I called it as soon as Hill was pulled. With all my heart, I believe a 5-year-old could have managed that game better. Garcia is absolutely a no-go there. I have a 4-year-old, and he probably couldn't have, but I'll check back when he's 5.
He'd be like, race car.
If Garcia is a no-go there, then you're kind of screwed. So what are you supposed to do, though, after Waka? So after Waka, what are you thinking? You think Tim Hill's going 3 innings? When Tim Hill gets on the mound in the 7th inning, I'm thinking 1 inning. Now, he happens to throw like a 2-pitch inning. And then he throws another 2-pitch inning, and you're thinking, oh, my gosh, well, he can start the 9th inning. But what are you thinking after 6? Where are you turning in the 8th inning if Tim Hill gives you 1 inning? Where are you turning in the 9th inning if Tim Hill doesn't have his longest outing of his Padres career?
If they weren't going to use Luis Garcia tonight, then why is he on the roster?
He's at best the 5th option because 3 are down. You've already gone to Hill. You can't use him as your 5th option. Now, again, I'm not using him in the 9th inning either. I understand that point. I'd use him in the 7th inning. If Bob Melvin postgame says, oh, we're trying to get him some work. If you're trying to get him some work or get him right. Now, they said this about Hader last year in August, and they threw him in San Francisco. He got a save, and then he was lights out. But Hader's not Garcia, or Garcia is not Hader.
And I see people in the chat. What about Brent Honeywell?
Yeah, okay. I mean, we're grasping.
Yeah, we're grasping. And if Honeywell gave it up, then
I've heard about that against the Rockies. Oh, why are you using him in a high leverage situation?
Yep. And then it'd be the same thing. Why didn't you pitch Tim Hill 3 innings?
Right? Why didn't you go to Garcia? How could you pitch Honeywell over Garcia? That guy was a setup man.
And then I'm gonna look at Honeywell right now. He's been average over his last.
I mean, why would you pitch Brent Honeywell in the ninth inning?
I mean, he's got a 4.26 ERA in his last 15 appearances.
Yeah, no.
So
that's what he's got for like the year.
It's not like the best. I just, like I said, it felt coming into this game like a scheduled loss, and then it made it worse because of how well they played.
Yeah, they should have
up until the ninth inning with Soto going, hitting 2 home runs and Walker pitching well. And then it bit them in the ass once again by not getting any hits with runners in scoring position and not coming through in big time situations with the best possible batters up to do that. And they just didn't get it done again, like this team has done throughout the entirety of the year.
Carlos, thank you again. He says insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Hill was pitching so well. You go with your gut. Horrible strategy. I mean, again, in hindsight, of course. But you got to remember, like, Tim Hill doesn't get up multiple times and throw multiple innings, and we have no idea what would have happened with Tim Hill on the mound. I mean, we literally have no idea. Tim Hill has not been Josh Hader in his Padres career. He hasn't. He's had good stretches. He's had poor stretches. He's had good moments. He's had bad moments. He had a very good couple of innings tonight. I'm with you. Considering the hand that Bob Melvin was dealt, I'd pitch Hill in the ninth too, but I don't think it's so agree. He didn't get outmaneuvered and yanked Josh Hader. You see, it's like, oh, you know what? We were going to use Hader there, but now they got the platoon advantage. Let me go to Hill. That didn't happen tonight. They yanked Hill for Garcia. I don't see that as some absurdly egregious decision, other than the fact that Garcia has been bad and he's been out. But a year ago, you wouldn't think anything of that. But this isn't a year ago either.
Yeah, it feels like another loss that was just, heartbreaking, crushing, and there's been too many of those this year, way too many of those. And guess what? Now you're 2 games still under 500. They just remain to be they just remain to be unserious, even though they're playing better. Like, for people that say, hey, they're playing good baseball, why are you saying they suck? I don't know. First of all, I never said they suck. And third of all, whatever, you actually need to be playing a lot better than they're playing right now. 15-11 in their last 26 games with the way they did the first 2 months of the year ain't good enough. It just ain't.
I agree. Jose, thank you for your super. He says, I tweeted about Luis Garcia as he was warming up that there was no way he's closing us out. I was right, but why not let Tim Hill finish the game? So everyone's thinking the same thing. I mean, we can talk about it, as we like to say, until we're blue in the face. Let's just agree here. Bob Melvin made the wrong decision in the top of the ninth inning. That inherently, or that does not mean you should lose the game. Managers can make wrong decisions. They should be able to get bailed out by their players. As bad as let's say Luis Garcia, Jim, is a 9 ERA pitcher this year. That's the worst pitcher in baseball. There's no regular with an ERA over 9, right? Can we agree? Mm-hmm. If Luis Garcia comes on the mound with a 9 ERA and a 2-run lead, he should win the game half the time. The Padres should win the game half the time. Mm-hmm. He should allow 1 run or fewer half the time, if not more than that, whatever the math would say. My point is, like, I get it saying, hey, once Luis Garcia came on, we knew we were going to lose. I mean, he had a 2-run lead. I guarantee if you throw that inning 10 times, there's times he's going to actually preserve the lead. It might be ugly, but there's going to be times he preserves the lead. So we agree. Tim Hill should have pitched the 9th inning. I don't know if they win the game if Tim Hill pitches the 9th inning. We can put our head on the pillow tonight, pretend like the Padres won with Tim Hill pitching in the 9th inning. That's fine.
Yep. It's hindsight is that you have no idea. No one will ever know because it will never happen.
Yeah. Like, it's the easier thing to do. Yeah, he was good. So just keep him for the 9th inning. And then what happens when Austin Slater rips a double off the right field wall?
And then you put Garcia in, and he gets it up there. It's like, well, we should have put Garcia in.
Yeah, they should start dealing with Garcia. Why would you leave him in against the righty who's killed left-handed pitching and killed Tim Hill?
He's in like 420 against righties this year.
It's easy to manage when you don't manage. And listen, I'm the first one to say that. I'm the first one, and I think Bob Melvin takes a brunt of the responsibility tonight. but I'm not saying that his decision was so egregious that his job as manager has been compromised.
They should be
Forward.
fired.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, real quick, guys. We're getting back to all the supers. Please subscribe if you're here. We're going to get to all of the supers in a moment. If you want to make sure you're heard tonight, if you want to support the channel, click the $ below the chat box. In addition to that, we do need to remind you about our title sponsor, Mark Nimitz. I've been texting with all night long. Mark's a lot like everyone here tonight. He's not thrilled with the way that Bob Melvin used his bullpen and the way this transpired late. Mark, thank you for your support of our channel since day one. If you have auto or home or renters or life or earthquake insurance needs, you have to go with the San Diegan, who's been a big-time supporter of our channel here in San Diego for multiple years now. We can't get this channel off the ground 2 years ago without Mark, and we can't do this night in and night out without your support each and every day, live or on replay, and without the support of our sponsors like Mark Nimitz. I've got homeowners, earthquake, and life insurance through Mark. He is such a good insurance agent. I had a claim in here in 2022, a flood. He took care of everything. I've been telling you guys about this recently. I would have had no clue where to get started. I sent him a text, and he called me immediately and took care of everything and saved us all these hassles and saved us thousands of dollars. Click the link in the description down below if you want to get to his website. You can get free quotes online, and he's going to save you $750 or more if you switch your insurance. So if it's a renewal, get in contact with Mark Nimitz. He will save you money. If you're looking for information on a new policy, call Mark as well. He'll talk to you about the Padres. He'll talk to you about your insurance. And thank you, Mark, for your support of our channel.
Yeah, all his information always is above my head. mnimitz at farmersagent.com. When you reach out to Mark, let him know that John and Jim from the Wrap-Up Show sent you.
All right, thank you, Mark. Let's get back here to the supers. Let me see where we were. All right, thank you, Circular, for the super. It says Manny's ankle injury 100% needs surgery. Can probably heal in 2 or 3 months. If he doesn't, he may do permanent damage, and his OPS will remain under 700.
He's an ankle injury?
I don't know. I don't know about that, Circular.
He has an ankle injury?
Are we talking about from a year ago? Because he had a 700 OPS plus after that ankle injury.
Right. This year it's the hand.
In the back, I would say.
Look, he's had a really bad year. Spade's a spade. Manny's sucked this season offensively. It is what it is. And he's got to be better. He's got to be a lot better. And right now, he just isn't. And we are in the middle of June, almost in July. We're 2 weeks away. So you got to be better. And if Manny's better for the final 3 months of this season and carries his team into the postseason, we'll all forget about the first 3 months of the year with Manny.
You're
but
right.
Like at this point in time, that's the only option he has, is to just carry this team and be better offensively for the remaining 3 months of the year and get them to the postseason. Because if he doesn't, then you're going to also put a lot of blame on this season on Manny Machado.
Worst season of his career, no question about it. That doesn't mean it'll finish the worst season of his career, but through 3 months, by far the worst season of his career. Carlos, thanks again, man. He says, especially with the righty against Hill, Jim, he pitched a whole inning versus righties. That's not the issue. Luis Garcia has a 5.23 ERA before tonight.
It was the matchup.
Would you like to reply to that?
Well, 1, it was the matchup. 2, he's going into his 3rd inning. And Melvin, made a mistake. Like Melvin was looking
fair.
Melvin was looking at it like, okay, they just put up Austin Slater because he crushes Tim Hill and just does great against righties. Maybe he does great against righties. I don't know if he crushes Tim Hill, but
I just looked it up. 2 for 4 the homer, 4 RBIs. So
okay,
it's small sample size, but 2 for 4 the homer, 4 RBIs.
But he sees him well. So that's probably the first thought in your mind is, okay, they're putting up a guy that against Tim Hill sees him well. Also, this year against lefties, he does really well against. We have Garcia up in the bullpen. Do we necessarily want to use Garcia? No, but I'm going to go with the matchup here. I'm going to go righty on righty, even though I think they pinch hit for him.
But then they turned him around. Exactly. They turned him around.
So they decided to go Garcia versus a lefty instead of Hill versus a righty who has really good numbers.
Right. They would have, well,
right?
Again, he got outmaneuvered twice. I'm guessing when Melvin goes to, who the hell did he go to? Garcia in the 9th. He probably thinks Slater stays in the game, to be honest. Slater's hitting 430. Who burns through a guy hitting 430? Again, it's a smaller sample size, but he did.
All right, looking at the bottom of the 9th, it was Blake Sable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you got
hitting 250, but they wanted the platoon advantage, so they burned through Slater. And that might have worked to their advantage. If Slater stays up there, maybe Garcia throws strikes. I got no clue.
And you got Mike Yastrzemski, who you saw what he did against the lefty in the 10th inning,
We haven't
right?
even mentioned. Dude, forget not the home run. I'll give you what I take more exception with.
Oh, the one not walking
pitching.
him?
Yeah, than pitching Garcia in the 9th inning. What I take way more exception with is the baseball strategy to face Yastrzemski. I don't care if it's lefty on left. You got a base open with 1 out. He's done it multiple times this year. Both times they've come up on the wrong side of it. You have to walk the batter to set up a double play and a force everywhere. I don't care if you've got the best advantage in baseball history. You got a better chance of getting out of the inning with the bases loaded than you do with 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. And by the way, it was 3-1. Walk him. Was it not 3-1? I think the count was 3-1. Walk him.
Let me check here. I think it was. Yeah. Wait, hold on. Was it 3-1? Let me check.
I thought it was.
Maybe
was it 2-1.
not.
Does someone know what the count was?
It was 3-1.
You walk him. You don't even throw a pitch to him there.
And then you have the rookie.
I don't care if Barry Bonds is on deck. I'd rather pitch to someone with the bases loaded than 2nd and 3rd 1 out.
Yeah, it was 3-1. First base is open. Next batter is their rookie that they just called up, which his name is Luis Matos, 21-year-old. You want to face Yastrzemski or Matos there. So yeah, again, the more you talk about this game, you put a lot of this on Bob Melvin for sure, absolutely. But I'm not saying that it's not also Luis Garcia's fault. They're both to blame, and that can be the case here. You can blame two people.
And you can't ask Ray Kerr, well, he strikes lefties out. No, Ray Kerr, but give him the best situation to succeed. If you load the bases there, you're asking him for a ground ball. And you get a ground ball, you can get out of the inning. 2nd and 3rd 1 out, you're asking for trouble, and you're putting your infield in a tough spot, and you're putting Ray Kerr in a tough spot. Brady, thank you. He says we will not win a World Series with Melvin. You could be right. It's a possibility.
That's not.
I mean,
who else? Who else?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's hard to say that this is wrong. You might be 100% right, but I don't know if you're winning a World Series with Joe Torre.
You want to go back to Jace Tingler? You want to go back to Andy Green? Do you think that those guys have a better chance of taking this team to World Series than Bob Melvin, who took this team to an NLCS last year?
If you want Bruce Bochy, you're not the only one. But
Bochy didn't want to come here? He said, "No, exactly. I want to deal with Preller." And so then you got a pretty damn good consolation prize in Bob Melvin, who is widely regarded as one of the best managers in baseball, and he's also not the guy who's signing the Luis Garcias of the world and spending all this money on a top-heavy roster and not giving him any bench depth and giving him no catching. Do you think that he's the one doing these, or is it AJ Preller? It goes all the way back to Preller every single time.
That one, Homie's Garage, thank you. Good to see you, by the way, the other day downtown at the Blind Burrow, and thank you for the super chat. It says, Exon Garcia let us down. Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. Absolutely.
Bogaerts has also had a shit year too. For the money that he's making, you give me his stats without any picture, and I would say that guy is a bench player.
He's like Hassan Kim.
He's Hassan Kim
without the defense.
Right.
I mean, he's a good defender, but he's not Hassan Kim. Thank you, MVP Tatis, for the super chat. He says 1 for 7 Risp. 2, go with who's hot, Hill. 3, now the bullpen is really fried. I don't know how that changes. Who cares? So what, they use Garcia and they use Carlton and Kerr. 4, Trent has to go now. 5, as Brad Pitt famously said, I don't care about lefty-righty matchup.
Well, Bob Melvin does.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't agree with that at all. Now, you might agree with it when it comes to Tim Hill, Luis Garcia, but yeah, and with 3 batter minimum, it's been taken out of the game to some extent, but I don't agree with that completely. He got outmanaged in the 9th inning. Credit to Gabe Kapler for burning a position player to get a pitcher out of the game. Credit to him.
Yep. I mean, it's not a good year for anybody really on this Padres team.
Well, I don't know about that.
Besides Tatis and Soto.
Yeah, I mean, and Waka and
Hader. But you get my point. Is
collectively,
the collectiveness of this team has not had a good year overall.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. SGL Stevens, thank you for the super. It says crushing loss. Thanks for being there. We are here for you guys. We appreciate the supers. We appreciate you hanging out. Whether you're here live or on replay, you have to subscribe. We ask that you subscribe if you are a Padres fan. Let's continue on here. YJD, thank you. He says, I'm sorry, but I bet on San Francisco win as soon as I saw Garcia coming in from the previous experience. Sigh, feel bad, but won 500 plus 985 San Francisco live at the time. Well, that's a crazy number. They shouldn't be 10-1 down 2 runs.
Jeez.
Maybe they should.
Maybe they should. Maybe they didn't factor in that Hader was available.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. Good for you to win the $500.
Good for you, YJD.
End up on the wrong side of that. Matt, thank you for hanging out. He says, what's the IRRC again? I should know what that means. If I recall correctly.
There we go.
If I recall correctly, Bud Black had a problem with the bullpen too. The difference is the payroll, which magnifies these types of losses. Both are great managers, in my opinion. Okay, so Matt calling Bob Melvin a great manager tonight, where I think a lot of people here live or on replay may not agree with that.
I think he's saying overall, like not tonight specifically, but just like overall, if you take his body of work, he's a good manager.
I think he's a good manager. I don't know if he's a great manager. I think he's a good manager. But I will say this about all the money spent. You didn't spend it on Garcia, Hill, Carlton, Kerr. You know what I mean? That's the thing. That's where you get into when you get to the second half of your roster and a night like tonight, that's where you're relying on depth and guys to overperform. And that didn't happen tonight.
But you also are spending all your money on Machado and Bogarts, and they didn't perform either. So double-sided there. Yes, you're not paying a lot of money to the guys that were in the biggest spots tonight on the mound. But on the flip side, the guys that were in the biggest spots in the batter's box, who you're actually paying the most money to, failed again miserably.
Fair. And again, I mean, no, it's fair. And again, these series are going to be tough. On the road against San Francisco, when they're playing the way they're playing, is not going to be the series. They're not going to score 10 runs a night in this series, is my guess. And they scored enough where they should have put themselves in position to win, especially with Michael Wacha on the mound. When they score 4 runs, Jim, we know they win. I mean, they were winning 90% of the time, at least. Yeah. Scoring 4 runs. Not tonight. Joshua, thank you for the super. He says, what's up with Adrian Morejon? He's begun to maybe throw, has he not?
He's in the same boat as Drew Pomeranz for me. He's just there, but you'll never see him. Ow.
What'd you just do?
I hit my hand on my table.
Dude, you're like Pomeranz. We're never going to see you again.
I know. It's my left hand, too. I'm out for the season, guys.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, Morejon, can you count on him to be giving you anything like reliable innings this year? No, unfortunately.
No.
Unfortunately, Joshua. But they got that situation with a number of pitchers. I mean, Suarez at this point, it's almost July. Is he going to be counted on this year? Meaningful innings? I hope so. Jeremy, thank you. Says Terry Francona. He has led vets to win the chip, but he's managing. I mean, I get if you want to argue if there are better managers in baseball, I would agree completely. I'll give you 3 right now. I'll give you 3 in the division. Lovello, freaking Roberts, Kapler. So that's why I would say he's not a great manager. I think he's a solid manager, and I think he does better with his group than he does in game. Would you disagree with that, Jim? That any of the 3 managers I just said are worse managers than whatever the hell his name is, Bob Melvin?
They're worse?
Yeah, as in, do you think that Dave Roberts is a worse manager than Bob Melvin? There's no way you can say yes.
No.
Okay. Do you think that Gabe Kapler is a worse manager than Bob Melvin?
No.
Do you think Torey Lovello is a worse manager than Bob Melvin?
No.
So what
about Bud Black?
And then there's Bud Black. Do you think he's a worse manager? Maybe you think he's comparable, man. So can we really say that Bob Melvin is a great manager when the division has managers just as good, if not better than him? And that's one division.
The difference, though, now with Bob Melvin compared to the past with Andy Green and Jace Tingler is that when Andy Green and Jace Tingler were here, it was Padres managers bottom of the list.
Sure.
Now
middle.
Now it's like you can make an argument for Bob Melvin at times. And hey, look at last year. You would, after last season, you would have said Bob Melvin's the best manager in the division, right?
In the division?
After last year, yeah.
Yeah, after they beat the Dodgers in the postseason, sure.
Yeah. So, it's a weird thing here is like
Yeah.
they're not doing well this year. So now you're going to say Bob Melvin is the third best manager in the division, the fourth best manager in the division after they just went to the NLCS and this post offseason, you said that he was the best manager in the division.
Sure.
So it's interchangeable, right, with how they're doing. But I would say still like Bob Melvin's on par, with every other manager there for sure.
No, I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
You don't think he's on par with them?
No, I don't.
Even with this history, as taking the A's to,
I mean, maybe previously, but I think today, I think it would be really hard to make an argument that Bob Melvin's a better manager than Dave Roberts, Gabe Kapler, Torey Lovullo. I would. I mean, I think with a level of bias, I can do it.
So what has Torey Lovullo done that Bob Melvin hasn't?
Well, I'm talking about today. And Torey Lovullo hasn't Here's the thing that Torey Lovullo hasn't had the chance to do. He's never managed the $200 million payroll, ever. Yet he's got a team.
So just because there's 60 games in the season, you're saying that Bob Melvin's worse than them?
Well, I'm using my eyes. And I said it last year in the postseason. I think with a different manager, the Padres could have won more games in the National League Championship Series last year. And I said it in the regular season too. So I think he mismanages his bullpen.
So just because
Gabe Kapler was a manager of a 107-win team, are we going to say that he was a worse manager last year because they didn't win 107 games?
Are you?
No, I'm saying Gabe Kapler's a better manager than Bob Melvin.
Well, then I'll use your logic that Gabe Kapler last year was a worse manager than Bob Melvin.
No, I'm saying that we need to use all of the data available to us. And the data today suggests to me that when you get into if we're using in-game decision-making as the number one way to judge managers, you can't put Bob Melvin above any of these guys. Dave Roberts has been heavily crucified and vilified for his decision-making process with his bullpens. Yet how many World Series has he managed in? So what are we going to use against them? That they've lost a World Series, but Bob Melvin hasn't even managed a World Series.
Well, Dave Roberts has also been given a way better roster than Bob Melvin.
Okay, but I mean, from a payroll perspective, right now, the last 3 years, they're very similar, are they not?
Let me ask you this. If Bob Melvin was the manager of the Dodgers, do you think that the Dodgers are better right now or worse right now?
If Bob Melvin was the manager of the Dodgers,
with the whole organization,
I haven't been watching.
Well, the Dodgers are still better than the Padres. Now, are they as good as they were last year? Absolutely not. Mm-hmm. They're so far behind where they were last year.
I could see the Dodgers being worse with Bob Melvin as a manager.
Really?
Yeah.
So if Bob Melvin was the manager of the Giants, you think that they're worse?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen an 8-game winning streak out of a Bob Melvin coach team. Have you?
Not with the Padres, but in his career, yes.
Have you seen a 107-win team from Bob Melvin in his career? I haven't.
You've seen a high 98, 97 win team. Yeah.
Jim, I'm telling you, man, you could, I'm
telling you too.
I'm telling you what I'm saying is accurate. What I'm saying is he's not a better manager than anyone I just rattled off. And if you want to tell me Torey Lovullo is not as good of a manager as Bob Melvin because he had the horse crap young team of the Diamondbacks the last 3 years and they stuck with him when they won 50 games. Now they're going to win 95. That's more of a credit to Lovullo than the opposite.
I'm just looking at Bob Melvin's career, and he's had a way better career than every single one of those people except for Dave Roberts.
Okay, but he's also had a longer career. Gapler's in his, how long has he been a manager? 8 years. Melvin's 20 plus.
Okay.
Lovullo's been a manager for under 10 years. Okay. Bud Black has been a veteran manager, but Bud Black has done well with what he's been provided with. I don't think he's really done any. Has Bud Black really performed poorly compared to Bob Melvin in his career as a manager, considering what he's been given? I wouldn't say that. I would say he's performed very similarly.
Okay. I don't think so, but okay.
I don't know. I don't know. Again, I'm not firing Bob Melvin either. I don't think Andy Green's a better manager. I don't think Jace Tingler's a better manager. I think it's a big upgrade. And I think what he means in the clubhouse has value. And I think it works for a veteran team that needed credibility. But is he like this missing piece? What we heard the day they signed him as manager is you're getting the best manager in baseball. I think that is a fallacy.
Okay. Well, I'll also say this, is that didn't we say at the time, when Jace Tingler got let go, we all said he needed to happen.
Yep.
And we said, look, or maybe I said, if this team can't get over the hump with this next manager, like that's a player thing. That is a player thing all day long. Because if this guy can't do it, then nobody can fucking do it.
Disagree.
Okay.
Preller.
Well, yeah, no shit. Preller's the fucking problem. He's the end all be all.
So it's not the man. Don't say if this manager can't get it done, it's the players. When ultimately it's the general manager.
Well, it's the players that are put into place by Preller. So then it's both of them. I just think Bob Melvin's a good manager, and that at times, the way he manages bites him in the ass. But I don't think that he is worse than Torey Lovello or worse than Gabe Kapler.
But he's not better. That's how I phrased it to you. You're going to die on the hill that he's a better manager than Gabe Kapler?
I'm going to die on the hill of that he has had a better career than Gabe Kapler.
Yeah, but he's managed for 20 years.
Right. And he has won, let's see here. He's won
don't do that.
Most
it's
games.
Not going to be better than Kapler. I mean, who cares? So he's took the
107 wins. Yeah, and he's taken teams to the NLCS 2 times. He's taken a team to the ALCS, and Gabe Kapler for the 107 wins. For the 107 wins that Gabe Kapler had, couldn't even get out of the first fucking round.
He lost to the Dodgers in the NLDS. It's so what? The Dodgers lost last year to the Padres. You're going to pretend like the Dodgers had a bad year? We can position it that way.
And the Padres beat the Padres beat a Dodgers team that had a better season than the team that beat the Giants 2 years previous.
And guess why they beat the Dodgers? Not because of their manager. You remember how critical we were of some of the pitching decisions he made against the Dodgers? They won in spite of those decisions. Be honest.
Well, there's a couple, yes, but at the same time, you have to still say that Bob Melvin gets some credit there, or no, you're just not giving him any credit. Like when the players do well, it's no credit to Melvin. When Melvin fucks up, it's all Melvin's fault.
The short series stuff, I'm not going to blame him for the whole A's run of the 2010s and why they didn't win in the postseason. But I'm also not going to give him credit because he had Josh Hader closing out the 9th inning when he's rolling and Jake Cronenworth coming through with some big hit. Okay.
You hate Bob Melvin, it's fine.
All right, let me get to. I don't know, for whatever reason, I just felt. I mean, you think about you think about it, and I don't even know the other 25 managers in baseball. But if I looked at all 30 managers in baseball, there's no way he's better than the top 15. There's just no way.
Here's how I view this, and we'll move on after this. Is that I've seen, and you've seen, the shit that this team has had for manager for the last decade.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
And now that we get not we, but I hate that fucking thing. Now that they get a massive upgrade at manager, we're just going to just say that, you know what I mean? It's just after what Padres fans have seen here from managers who should not have been managers and guys that were way out of their league and guys that you've never heard of before. And now you go to a guy who's been a multiple-time manager of the year, has taken teams to the CSs, has won division after division after division, and now we're just going to say this guy fucking sucks?
I'm not saying he sucks, but I'm saying he's not. I think we were, and I agree, we have to move on or we'll be here for 5 hours. I just thought, and maybe I took the line hook, line, and sinker. I bought into it. We were sold the bill of goods that they were getting as good of a manager as there is in baseball. Well, their manager is a significant upgrade from the manager they had previously. If I look at the 30 managers in baseball, which I'm doing now, and I'm not going to run through them all, I could make an easy argument for 15 of these managers to be of the same ilk, if not better, than Bob Melvin. And you could too, if you looked at the managers on the list, guys like AJ Hinch and Dusty Baker, and go across the entire, and Kevin Cash. Okay. You could too, if you looked at this list, So that's all I'm saying.
For being real here, the manager isn't really the biggest problem with this team, but that's just,
No, I agree with that too.
If they had a better relationship with the GM, it might be better.
Potentially. All right, Aura, thank you guys for your support of this channel. Guys, if you are here, please support our partners. Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance, our friends over at Aura, ORA.organic. Will, their co-founder, is a huge Padres fan. He is a San Diegan. He's got a great company with plant-based nutritional products, whether it is probiotics, which I take every single day. My wife does as well for digestion, whether it's proteins for after workouts. Look at Jim. He's gotten huge because of Aura. Pre-workout supplements. They have omega-3 oils as well. If you were taking a fish oil, you can take the plant-based omega-3 oil from our friends over at Aura. Click the link in the description down below. You can find all of their products, ora.organic. They've got sleep pills. They have immunity pills. They have something for everyone. If you're looking to get healthier, if you want to support this channel, if you want to support a local business, check out our friends at Aura, ora.organic.
Yeah, go there right now. Check out all their supplements. Get some supplements to help support Will at Aura, the co-founder of Aura, lifelong Padres fan, just has a newborn. They have everything you need to live a healthy lifestyle. It's all plant-based, it's all organic. www.ora.organic. Pick up some other supplements, and you'll thank us later.
By the way, we got there because of this. Terry Francona, he has led vets to win the chip. And I'm like, well, you can't have Terry, but whatever. And I'll give you another manager that I would take, Terry Francona. Jared, thank you. He says, you can blame Bob. Why not have one of the three available? He's talking about the relievers. I'm not blaming Bob Melvin at all for that. None of my criticism on Bob Melvin has to do with those three guys that were down tonight. It has nothing to do with Bob Melvin.
No.
Arthur, thank you. Stubborn Bogarts and that wrist of his need to go on the IL. He's not a threat at the plate. Thoughts on that?
It's not great. It's not ideal that his wrist is hurting and bothering him this much this year after he just signed a $280 million contract.
Correct.
I don't think he needs to go on the IL. It's just worrisome.
It is
very worrisome.
Will, this is very generous. Thanks, man. Sorry we're so behind on these supers. It's been such a good conversation. People are frustrated with the way the team played here tonight, losing in extras. He says, with the bullpen thin tonight, you got to ride with our best pitcher so far, Waka. Dude is a horse. You got to give him the seventh. Lugo should go back to the pen to provide another right-handed pitcher. Go get another starting arm at the deadline. How many pitches did he throw tonight?
93.
You could start an inning, but we've been concerned about his pitch, his innings limit that could come up.
Yeah. Do you want to burn another inning, high leverage, over 100 pitches now, or do you want to wait for that later in the season? It's tough. They're in a tough situation with Waka because he's been amazing and his innings are going to get up there very quickly, and he has not pitched over 130 innings in like 7 years.
Right.
And he's already at 80.
Yeah, you're right.
That's
but if there's a night you're going to do it because you're thin. Yeah, I get the point, Will. I really do. HBVV, thank you. Says Garcia and Bob better fly Spirit and stay with Mania. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Thank you, HBVV. John, thank you. He says Bomel needs to go. I've said it before. He's a terrible in-game manager, 35 and 37 for this team. Downright, it's the most embarrassing team. I think he's probably saying Padres history. But what about that, Jim? Just real quick on Melvin. Because everyone always says every night Melvin's got to go. And we always defend him to the nth degree.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is he's somewhere in between from the like, hey, this is a great manager to, hey, he's got to go. Like, he's the truth somewhere in the middle?
Right. He's a good manager. He's not a great manager. He's a good manager. He's not a bad manager. He's a good manager. And good managers, everyone has to agree with this in the chat. Even good managers fuck up.
I agree with that.
Even great managers fuck
up.
You know, they fuck up less than good managers do. But, you know, Bob Melvin, has he fucked up in his time in San Diego? Absolutely. Has he been better than every other manager this team has had since Bud Black? Absolutely.
Did you know, by the way, Tim Hill has never thrown more than 2 innings in a major league appearance? Ever.
I do now. And that also is another reason why he did not pitch a third.
And Slater against left-handed pitching this year is 15 for 30.
Is that good?
So, you know, again, he's really that's a classic Kapler. The reason I really credit the move, especially with hindsight, is let me just put the damn chips in. I got the losing hand. I got fewer chips. I'm down 4-2. I'm just going to throw them on the table. How do you react to it? You're going to fold your hand or not? And that's what Melvin did. He said, you know what? Let me be safe here. Mm-hmm. Let me play the numbers. I'm not going to play my gut. Let me play the numbers.
Yeah. And you know, the reason why Kapler is a good manager is because of the system and support system he has around him.
That's fair. I buy it. But that support system ain't, unless you're talking about his staff, you're talking about his coaching staff or his front office?
Both.
Okay. That's fair.
You put Gabe Kapler in Bob Melvin's seat, and then
And
you
he
put
doesn't look like the same manager.
It does not look like the same manager. You put Bob Melvin in Kapler's
It's
seat,
fair.
then he's a completely different manager.
That's very fair. I will give you that. I'll completely give you that. If you want to sit, that's fair. That's completely fair. John, thank you. He says goes back to pitching Weathers instead of Darvish. That's blame AJ.
Yeah. Blame the analytic department. Blame AJ.
He might be. John, you might be. I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying blame the people that are making Bob Melvin doesn't walk in like, who should I pitch tomorrow? He's thinking about how to maximize his team in the clubhouse. Whoever's pitching, then go figure it out. But he's not like, who should I pitch tomorrow? It has nothing to do with him.
Right.
Nothing.
And you know how much better the analytic department was in Oakland than it is here in San Diego.
Also fair.
And Bob Melvin has said that. Like when he first got here, he goes, oh, man, I'm kind of surprised about, I forget exactly what he said, but he was saying that he was surprised about the analytic department here, how it's not as robust as it was in Oakland. And look how well he did in Oakland.
That's where a point, maybe I didn't, then that's a fair point. I think maybe your best point, or maybe a point I'm missing in the whole manager conversation, is maybe managers get propped up based on everything that's around them. And I'm not talking about their play. Everyone knows you have a good team, you have a good manager. I mean, Joe Torre was a good manager because he had Derek Jeter and everyone else surrounding him. But you get propped up by the surrounding parts: pitching coaches, hitting coaches, bench coaches, front offices, analytic departments, and that's a very good point.
And managers aren't empty suits. I'll also say that for anybody
I
that thinks
agree.
Managers an empty suit, it's not even close.
And I completely agree with that. I do, and I think you can be really taken advantage of. I mean, you can see it on a night like tonight. One manager looks good and one looks bad. Now, it's not the whole season. We said that. I'm not saying it's the whole season. It's just I've seen a lot of examples of curious in-game decisions, and maybe that's more in the Padres organization than it is on Bob Melvin. Rocket, thank you. Rocket says another point: the bat should be better. Xander, please take the rest, buddy. You are clearly not 100%. Stop putting him in the cleanup spot. I mean, is Xander hurt still? I guess he's going to be hurt like all year though. So I don't know what you can do with Xander. I mean, I don't know what you can do with Machado. I don't know what you can do with guys that aren't 100%. Carson, thank you. Exactly. Sanchez had some nice picks. P.S. I blame Bomel. Yeah, I mean, there was a wild pitch in there. It was not good.
Dude, Garcia was all over the fucking place, dude. It was so bad.
And again, that's not on Melvin that he sucked. He just happened to turn to him, and then he sucked. James, thank you. He says today sucked. At least the Blink 182 concert was fire. Where was that? Was that at Pechanga?
Was it at Pechanga?
I think it was.
I think it might have been Pechanga.
I think it was. That's really cool, James. Glad you enjoyed that.
Very nice.
Luis, thank you. We can't see super stickers, but thank you for your support of the channel. That means a lot. Luis, thank you again, by the way, for another very generous super chat. And then let's get to John here. It says Melvin can't coach a team full of superstars. He's good with teams of no expectations, no pressure. With pressure, he can't. Tingler was not much worse. What do you make of that argument in general, that he's never had to manage a team with this kind of, I don't know, star power / payroll?
That, I mean, payroll is one thing, yes, but talent-wise, he's had some fucking damn good teams.
He's had good young talent.
I mean, you look at some of those A's teams and where they are now and where they were in their careers. Like, I mean, Sean Murphy, Matt Olson, Josh Donaldson. I mean, you name it, right? They had a really good fucking team in Oakland.
Yeah, no, I agree.
A lot of good talent there. So,
no, I agree with that. Guys, listen, if you're looking for a place to play fantasy sports, you need to do so with our friends at Underdog Fantasy. They've got this brand new contest going on right now, the 7th inning stretch, where you can draft your Major League Baseball team, and they take care of everything else after the draft. You just draft, no waivers, no trades, no nothing. They'll set your lineup each and every week. $7 to enter, 150 grand in prizes. Sign up between now and July 14th at UnderdogFantasy.com or on the Underdog Fantasy app. And here's the deal. Use promo code PODSWRAP, PADSWRAP, and get a 100% deposit match up to $100. Again, promo code PODSWRAP, PADSWRAP, get a 100% deposit match up to $100.
We should save some for tomorrow.
We'll save more of this for tomorrow on the radio. Please join us tomorrow, 3 p.m. John and Jim. Much more on this. I started the show by saying I wasn't going to hold Bob Melvin fully accountable. I don't think he should lose his job, and I still feel that way. But the more I think about it, the more this is a tough one. I mean, if you're going to put a game on someone, I understand putting this game on Bob Melvin. And I also understand Jim's point. You got to hit with runners in scoring position. Luis Garcia's got to be better. But this is a tough night for Bob Melvin. It's a tough night. Okay. Please subscribe. You're on Padres content for you. You got to subscribe if you're here. We're here for you basically every single night. Smash the like button for us. Follow us on Twitter at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. If you're here on replay, we appreciate the super thanks. Really do. If you're able to do that. Also, thank you to our partners, Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance, our title sponsor. Click the link in the description down below. Ora, ORA.organic. Will, thank you for your support of our channel. Click the link in the description down below if you're looking to get healthier. UnderdogFantasy.com or the Underdog Fantasy app. Use promo code PADSWRAP and get a 100% deposit match up to $100. And our brand new partner, MLBshop.com. Click the link. It's pinned in the chat right now. Free shipping on all Padres orders over $24 going on right now. They've got deals going on right now at MLBshop.com. Just click the link pinned in the top of the chat. Free shipping going on right now for all of your Padres orders. All right, Padres fall in extras to the Giants 10-4. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 on the radio tomorrow night right here on the Wrap-Up Show.